good. 1 second. All right. What's going on, everyone? Checking on us Friday night. Hope you guys are staying safe from the COVID, right? All right, I'm just getting this thing set up. Got a couple new cameras. Got some stuff going on here. Figured I would get the Rogueway back on. I'm actually broadcasting live from the Rogueway page. If I'm pointing at you right now, you're on the Rogueway live, and if you're looking at me right now, you should be on my page. Hey, you guys, let me know if the sound's good. You guys hearing me? Give me a thumbs up if the sound is kicking while I make myself an effing drink. Gonna throw out the Conor McGregor tonight. Guys, give me a thumbs up if the sound's good. Can you hear me? Anybody? Ah, there we go. Somebody gave me a thumbs up. Cool. Alright, so the sound is good. Let me, I'm probably not going to be looking directly at you. I go back and forth. I've got, like I said, this camera is on my personal page, and if you're looking at me on that camera, I see one person over there that gave me a thumbs up. Thanks, appreciate that. That's on the Rogueway. And I'm also doing, I'm filming this. We're going to get up on YouTube and get everything going. Guys, I'm going to get me some software so I can, get all the cool editing stuff done and, actually make the intros and all that. If anyone knows anybody local that's good with software, with editing, video editing, and I wouldn't mind giving them some money to kind of give me a class on how to get some stuff going. Obviously, I don't have a producer or anything like that, but if anybody is good with that stuff, I'd appreciate some training. Let me get logged in here on my laptop. We could talk about some stuff. Got our electricity back yesterday. If you're in Monticello, all the electricity's been out for since last Sunday. So that was an interesting time. I didn't really mind it that much the last day. Ace says, we just want to hear your opinion on things, not what you look like. Hey, you know what? I'll fucking take that as a compliment, Ace. I'm drinking to that. No one gives a shit what I look like, right? All you want to know is what I think about shit. Okay, cool, we can do that. We'll start with the power being out for Sunday. I didn't mind it too much. Gave me a chance to go camping. Made me realize why I got out of the Marine Corps. I told my wife while we were, enjoying the outdoor portion of the power outage that I'm good with it, but it's not my choice. I don't give two shits about going camping. And people ask me sometimes, I've been, hey, you want to go camping? You want to go, you guys want to go up to the national park and, all this kind of shit? No, I don't. I don't care anything about it. I don't mind if my power goes out and I have to live like that for necessity. If I'm serving my country and it wants, I got to do that for that reason, then that's fine. If it's job related, duty related, yeah, I'm good with it. But other than that, I don't want to go camping. Got the proper 12 on ice tonight. But I do want to give a shout out. I know the power companies, all those dudes are out there working right now. They're still trying to get power on. Anybody watching me, your power out? Is anybody's power out in the local area? What's up? What's up, Flanagan? I got Joey Wilson. Joey Williams. I am sorry, man. I've had a couple of shots. Forgive me for. But Joey, what's up? I got John, Ed. How you guys doing? what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So, like I said, I didn't mind the power being out too much, but about what was it? Yesterday it came back on, and just about an hour ago, it went off for a minute, and I like to lost my fucking mind. I'm not even gonna lie. I like to lost my mind. But those workers are out there. They're doing a hell of a job. They've got a tough job. I don't. Caleb Fowler is a friend of mine. I hadn't talked to in a while, but I know he worked for the power company and did that type of lineman stuff. I understand they have safety precautions, but man, there's just something about power lines that I care nothing about. You know, electricity and fire are two things I've got no fucking interest in messing with. Much respect to firefighters, much respect to electrical workers. I don't mind bullets and I don't mind bad guys, but electricity, I can't see it until it's too late, and fire, I can see it, I can smell it, and I don't care for it. So those are two things that I'm not interested in. So stimulus checks hit. Who got their stimulus check? Give me a thumbs up if you got that Trump money hitting your account, and I am curious to know, you know, how you feel about it, because I know I got a lot of conservative listeners. I'm a moderate myself, but I lean more conservative. How do you guys feel about about the government handing out money in this situation? Are you good with it? You got your cash and you're like, shit, man, I'm good. I spent that shit already and then bought me some guns. Or are you cautious about it? Are you against it? Anybody out there, what's your, did you get your stimulus money? And if so, what's your opinion on it? I got it, and I got mixed feelings about it, you know. I like having some extra money in my bank account. I'm not too sure if we're setting a precedent. That's, I'm very cautious about the direction we're heading as a country, you know, with this, with the whole, how we're responding to this COVID, this coronavirus. Is it in proportion? Is it, is it costing us liberties? Are we setting a precedence for our liberties being taken away, or whenever somebody decides that it's a national emergency? What is your feelings on that one? I'm very skeptical of it. I am 100% for saving lives, but you know, and maybe my opinion. TC Shockley's watching. TC, what's up, dude? Holy shit, I ain't talked to that guy since I was a kid. I got mixed feelings about it, man. You know, we obviously want the best for people. We don't want people dying of sickness. I don't like seeing people get sick. Nobody wants that. And the problem with this, the discussion, I think, right now, is it's polarizing. It's almost like you have to either, if you don't support certain liberties being taken away and certain things going on, then you want people to die of the COVID. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way the media sets it up. You can't have an opinion like that. You obviously want people to be okay and you want to do the right thing, but if you don't support absolute shutdown, complete social distancing, telling people they can't have church services on Sunday, but yet Walmart can be packed, then you are the bad guy. So it seems like the media and the public opinion sets you up to be on one side or the other. I think some of the stuff is I don't know if I could say ridiculous, but definitely hypocritical. And I've talked about this a couple times in the last week. I understand that it's getting taken care of, and I've seen it. But Greenville, Mississippi, I brought this up. The incident in Greenville, Mississippi, I brought this up a couple times because Greenville, Mississippi is not too far from us. It's very close to us. Alan Edwards, what's up? He's watching on the roadway. Joe Hockett, awesome dude, got it and giving it back to pay my taxes. That's what Joe Hockett says about the Joe. Man, I hope you're doing good. Me and Joe were in the Marine Corps together back in the day. He was explosive ordnance disposal. Man, I would love to get that dude on Skype and talk some bomb stuff with him. He's still in the military. He's still in the Marine Corps, so I don't know what he's allowed to talk about, but one day, Joe, we need to do a podcast and we need to talk about boom stuff, man, because I really want to pick your brain on that one. Thanks for watching, bro. Alan Edwards says the way people are acting, it's making it so much worse, in my opinion. He's talking about the COVID, the way people are acting. It's interesting to me, and I just want to stay on. I'm going to read your comments, and they'll cycle through. So, but I do want to talk about the way we're reacting to this COVID. I understand the argument that this is a virus that we don't know a whole lot about. We don't know what its potential is. We don't have a vaccine, and yada yada. But the flu, even with a vaccine, we have way more deaths. I mean, even with a vaccine. So it's weird to me that we're not taking the flu this deadly serious, but we're taking this is. But I'm not. I'm not a specialist in diseases. I'm not a specialist in this type of stuff. So, I know I know how I feel when people talk about the military that don't know shit about the military. So I'm very cautious about what I would say about a disease that I don't know anything about. Okay, I'm thankful I don't have it. But at the same time, I do have an area about this they have a right to talk about, and that is our constitutional rights and our liberties as a nation, as a free society. And we are a free society, or at least we were. And the problem with it is the ones that are standing up, that are protesting in Michigan, and that are going to church in Greenville, Mississippi. These are Americans, okay? These are American citizens, and they believe in this country. And you can't go around labeling them as as extremists. And I mean, these are people that are they're standing up for our rights to assemble. They're standing up for our rights of religious liberties, And these are the things that veterans hold dear, because these are the things that we served for, we fought for. This is what our entire adult lives, for the most part, have been about. We believe in this. And public officials, you don't have to be a service member of the active reserve or guard of the military to have taken an oath to protect the Constitution. That is something that public service, elected or appointed, this is something that happens out there, and that's why you have an obligation, you have a responsibility to protect the Constitution. And yeah, that's balanced with a responsibility of protecting people from this disease. And I think where the difference is that there are a set of people who think, yes, we should be doing these things, but these things should be decided by the people. By if I am a pastor of a church, then I'm going to do the right thing, and if that is to shut my services down and minister to my congregation online, then that is a decision as a pastor I should be making, and I should be being responsible in doing that. And that is appropriate. That's an appropriate decision. However, when a police officer pulls up into a parking lot and tells a pastor that his constitutional rights have been suspended, that's a whole nother ballgame, brother. That's a whole nother issue. First of all, I'm not sure if that guy that said that was just an idiot, or was he lying, or what his deal was. My personal opinion is he didn't know any better. He thought that because the governor said you can't do this, that suspends your constitutional rights. It's easy to stand for your rights when everyone agrees that they are your rights. It's difficult to stand for rights whenever those above you in the chain of command disagree with that, when they're trying to act tyrannical, when they're trying to do things that are unconstitutional. That's the point of the Constitution. That's the reason why it exists. So, is that we have this document that says, no, you can't do that. This is the rights that we have. This is how we're going to act. And we can settle this in the courts, and we can settle this in the Supreme Court. But hopefully we can settle this in some way besides settling this with our fist or with weapons or with civil unrest or things like that. And nobody wants that. But the problem with setting a precedence where it becomes the norm to suspend your liberties to suspend, and I will use the quotation marks because that's just bullshit. They're not suspended. But when they, they think they can suspend your rights, the reason why that's a problem is it becomes a precedent, and then it is accepted, and then it will be referenced later, and people will say, well, yeah, you can do this because we did it 10 years ago. So that's the concern with the COVID stuff. That's the problem with it, and that's where the other side is. On the flip side, the medical, those who are trying to keep this thing from spreading, they have their reasons, and I don't know anything about viruses, so I'm not going to attack those reasons. I'm just going to say that it's a difficult position for them to be in. But it's really hard for those who have put their physical well-being at stake for this country to accept constitutional rights to be set aside for personal comfort or for the wellness or for even to prevent life being lost, because in our minds we were willing to do that. We're willing to put our lives on the line for those freedoms. So, and sometimes we forget that that's not how everyone who is walking around a Walmart feels. That they don't have that same perspective. They're not willing to lay their life or their loved ones' lives down for their for religious liberties and for their constitutional freedoms and things like that. And I think those who have served their country and who have done things, sometimes we forget that that's not the general population's position. So we have to be careful about attacking them. But guys, there's some stupid shit going on, right? I mean, is there not? Have y'all been to Walmart lately? I talked about this yesterday for a minute, but I was having problems keeping a signal, so I just kind of bumped off of it. But Walmart, man, I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. Can someone explain that to me? How is it that what I was saying yesterday is if you looked from above into the Walmart store, if you could look from from the security camera angle, and you saw how close people are to each other as they're moving through the aisles, and how many people there are in Walmart, it's obvious that social distancing is not enforceable, or that it's not even being attempted in there. You're not requiring people to have a mask on when to come into facilities. So therefore, what's really your goal here? But yet, God forbid somebody walk in and out the same side of the entrance and exit. They'll call you out on that one, and I don't know what that's supposed to accomplish. You go in this way, you go out that way, and you can't get close to each other, but you're going through a funnel, and then you're going into a place where you're going to mingle. You're going to be standing. Here's my point. Someone, and comment on this. I want to hear your opinions. What sense does it make to divide people going in and out of Walmart, but yet in a checkout line you're standing, basically face to ass? I mean, you're this close in a checkout line, and they're not doing anything about that. But God forbid you walk out the wrong direction of the entrance and exit. Someone explain that to me, because I'm all ears. Guys, if you're watching me right now, I'm on two different channels, I guess you could say, pages. If you're looking at me right now, you're on my personal page. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Send me a friend request. Follow, whatever it is. I appreciate that. But please switch over to the camera I'm looking at right now, which is on the Rogueway page. I want to try to move this crowd over there and start watching this on the Roadway page. This is where my live broadcast and everything will be normally. So that's where you are. Appreciate you guys and checking me out. We're gonna get this thing kicked off. We're gonna get some guests on here. I'm gonna get Greg back, both Gregs, Greg Forrest and Greg Fallon, hopefully soon. And I'll get everybody, get our guests back going on and get Derek back on here and have some drinks and talk about some stuff. But now, going back to the COVID, I was just talking about Walmart. Has anybody actually went out the wrong way of Walmart? Did they tackle you? Anyone got any experience with that? They yelled at me. It hurt my feelings. I didn't know what to do. It scared me. It was. This lady said, "Sir, sir, you have to go out this direction." And I was almost a dick, but I almost went rogue at Walmart. I almost just continued on going my way, but that lady's trying to do a job, and I know how that is, so I respected it, and I turned around. I was 5 feet from the door. I turned around, I walked all the way around, and I went back out the right way, because that's what she was asking me to do. So I don't understand the point of that, but it is what it is. Oh man, so there has been a lot of stuff that has been going on since the last time I did a live. The election, the primaries, Bernie Sanders dropping out. Ed's got a comment. Those who would give up essential liberties to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. All right, so and who is that a quote from, man? Forgive my history lesson. Is that Benjamin Franklin? Am I wrong? Or is that Thomas Jefferson? I'm guessing. I feel like I'm on Jeopardy here. I can't remember. That's one of our founding fathers. Ed, somebody hit me up. Is that a Benjamin Franklin quote? I failed history, I think. But anyway, it's true though. We're not a society that is meant. Benjamin Franklin, I got it right. Boom. Thanks, man. Wasn't sure, but I got it right. So Benjamin Franklin, awesome. I agree with that. There is a certain amount of. We're not going to be the safest country. A free country is not going to be the safest country in the world. It's not going to be the most secure country in the world. It's going to be the freest country in the world. And at some point, you're going to have to choose between, absolute security or between freedom. Safety and freedom do not always go hand in hand. People say things like freedom isn't free, but when freedom costs something, they don't want to pay it. So that's that's the thing about a free society, man. You got to make a decision. What's the most important thing? And balancing your liberties with safety in this area, it's proven difficult. I think we're kind of venturing into new ground here. What is going to be the precedence that we set for our children? If I personally believe that if you have rights that can be suspended just whenever, then they're not really rights, are they? They're more like privileges. So if what's up, Curtis, Justin? How's it going? Hey, Paige. We got Tiffany Curtis. We got several people jumping on. I appreciate you guys stopping by. We're talking about the balance of freedom and safety in the age of COVID-19. Some interesting news with COVID-19, if you guys have been keeping up with it, and I'm not trying to pass conspiracy theories, so I'm going to clarify, this is not a theory that China created it, okay? It is did I just lose my feed over here? I think I did. Hold on, guys. I've got to fix my personal feed. There we go. Sorry about that. We're back live. I've got a new phone. It's trying to do some software stuff. Excuse me there. If you guys have been keeping up with the news on it, there is an investigation into did this version of COVID, did this coronavirus come from an actual Chinese lab? Not that was it created in a Chinese lab. That's a whole different discussion. But the essential idea that the president was questioned on was is the U.S. investigating the possibility or the building evidence? What is going on with my phone? Why does it keep doing that? Excuse me, guys. I'm going to deal with this while I talk. So the idea is, was this virus being kept in a lab? It's basically a virus that bats carry. Was it being kept in a lab and due to the lab's poor safety measures, someone got sick and then went to the market, and at that time it was transmitted from her to other people, and that's how it started. So that's a new, I don't know if it's new, but that's what everybody's looking into as far as the possible origins of this pandemic. So what we've been talking about is, how does everyone feel at this point living the way we live? We've had, churches have been closed essentially. We've had gyms closed, restaurants closed. How much has it affected your lives? How much has it affected your lives? Are you okay with this type of life? Would you be okay with this type of life going on for another 6 months or 12 months or even longer? Is this something that you would be okay with? Or is it something that you've had enough of? Right now, the president has essentially okayed states to follow their own, I guess you could say, convictions on opening back up, starting to relieve some of the measures that have been taken. And how do you feel about that in Arkansas and in Louisiana? My personal opinion is, I'm okay with it. I'm ready to get back to the gym. And am I afraid of the of coronavirus? I think that I'm not saying that people should take off their masks. I'm not saying that you shouldn't try to keep your distances, but I'm done with everything being mandatorily closed. I'm ready for stuff to open up. We're grown ups. We can make decisions. You can essentially decide. Some people can. I understand there's those who cannot, and there obviously need to be they need to be more careful. But if I want to go to the gym and work out, I want to go to the gym and work out. That's just the way it is, okay? This isn't the conforming podcast. This is the Roadway podcast. And if that's rogue, fuck it. But, my opinion is I want to go to the gym. If I want to go out and eat, I want to go out and eat. If I want to go, if I can go to Walmart and walk around, 100 people and sit in a line, in a checkout line and be just inches from someone, or, a buggy's length, from someone in front of me, and no one's got a problem with that, then I don't think anyone should have a problem with me going to church. They shouldn't have a problem with me going to the gym. It shouldn't be an issue. It shouldn't be a damn issue. If it's an issue, make it an issue. I don't disagree with concerns over, this is Joe Hawkins, I don't disagree with concerns over personal liberties, but for the sake of discussion, I'm reading this from a distance, Joe, sorry. Would the lockdown be different if we were at war and the actions, I'm sorry, this is really tough for me to branch out. The population was told to cut the lights out at night and things like that. Okay, so, and I'm sorry, Joe, I couldn't get all that perfectly because I don't have my glasses on. And I'm looking at that from a different, let me log on to my laptop here so I can just read the stuff off of this. But essentially what Joe's saying is, correct me if I'm wrong, man, but how would we feel if we were at war and there was an invading force and we were, think about World War II, think about England and France during World War II being bombed and we were told, turn your lights out at night and live a certain way. How would we feel under those circumstances? Would that be different? Would we be okay with that? That's a good point. I don't know. I think in America, there would be a lot of people out there fighting. They may turn the lights out at night, but they'd probably be getting in the back of trucks and going out and trying to get in a fight. But the situation, I think the problem with this is for those who, look at it differently than that, I think it's, this isn't, you're not looking at an enemy. You're not seeing someone attack. You see people wearing masks, you see people getting sick, or you hear about people getting sick, but it's almost like a phantom enemy. There's no gunfire, there's no bombs, there's nothing at you. It's like an invisible enemy, and one of the reasons why it's probably some people are probably not as concerned about it because they can't see it. That's not really my concerns. I understand the significance and threat of illness. I'm not sure I understand why this one is treated so much differently than other diseases that we know for a fact kill tons of more Americans and people worldwide. That's where I get lost in this scenario. But I am in Arkansas. I'm ready to get shit open back up. And the way I look at it is, if you are high risk, I'm all about helping those that are high risk out. Elderly people, going and bringing them stuff and doing it in a safe manner and acting like Americans and treating each other like Americans and doing the right thing and stepping up with individual motivation. I think that's something we should be taking care of each other. But having big government tell us what we have to do and what we don't have to do, that bothers me only because it's a dangerous precedent. And like Joe was saying, I think it'd be a lot easier for Americans if we were being invaded by a physical force. Not that a virus isn't physical, but by an army. If we were fighting and when we had bombers and we didn't have, we had to worry about that same environment as World War II. That would be different because people would physically see the threat. They would see the carnage of war. They would see the damage of war. And those of us who went to Iraq or Afghanistan or someone who saw that, we understand that is a difference. And maybe that makes us, less likely to take this as serious as we should. And sometimes, maybe it is. But at the same time, we went there because we believe in liberty and freedoms, and we were trying to give that to another country. So it's really touchy for us to watch the possibility or a dangerous precedent of things being taken away. Not that we understand. Yeah, you're going to get them back, but the problem is that your constitutional rights, your liberties are not things that can be taken away and given back and taken away and given back. Those aren't rights. That's a privilege. These are things that should never be taken away. You can't be infringed upon. So that is the issue with that. But what I want to gravitate towards, especially in this podcast, because this is a local thing, and I appreciate everyone like Joe and everyone that's not in this town or even in this state checking in, and I want to hear your opinions. I want you guys to comment. I will tell you, if you're watching on the roadway and you comment, if you can, if you switch over to my personal page and comment, it's closer to me. Okay, hold on. Well, maybe this is going to come up on my lap. My laptop will act right. It won't matter. But what I want to gravitate toward is personal experiences, in our towns. How, now that it's happening, how does it feel? Are you pissed off that you can't, that you have been restricted? Has it really affected your life at all? Are you okay with it? I'd love to hear from someone that's completely okay with it, that thinks that this is the way it should be being done, and will be this way until it's all better, and then if it ever happens again, we'll just keep going back through this cycle as often as we need to. I would love to hear from somebody that has that opinion. That's not my opinion, but I understand why people feel that way. But what I don't understand is people that feel that way but have no problem going to Walmart and dropping that effing stimulus package, that check on a bunch of stuff, and just honestly, when I went to Walmart today, and I know I keep talking about it, but it's just so funny to me. When I went there, no one gave a shit. I don't care what you say. No one gave a shit about the COVID. All right, those masks. Sorry, I'm coughing. But people are wearing masks, but they're just, everybody's just like walking right beside each other, standing in checkout lines close to each other. And at the same time, you know, it's supposed to be a big issue. I sure wish this phone wasn't. Sure wish my new phone didn't keep trying to upload these, do that software update in the middle of my freaking broadcasting here. My sister checked in. She says, "Hey brother, thanks for stopping by." Andy, everyone is checking it out. All right, let me move over here. How do you guys think this is going to affect? Is this going to affect the re-election of President Trump? What do you guys think about Biden? Do you think he has a chance? I'm going to make my election predictions, and I'm just going by just my feeling and what I'm seeing in news. I don't think the election is going to go very, very good for the Democratic Party. We shall see, but I do not. I don't think it's going to. And I know. Everyone that hates Trump right now hates me for saying that. I get it, but I'm just telling you. I don't think it's going to work out. Well, that's not really working here. So, and now I'm getting some comments. Guys, let me tell you something. We spend too much time worrying about, and I don't watch a whole lot of news. I get asked why I don't talk about what's going on in the news more, and the reason why I don't is because I don't watch the news a whole lot. I don't watch national news. Okay, I'm way more interested about what's going on in my local area than I am about the national picture. And the reason for that is when I was in college, I took a class, American National Government, and my professor, Dr. Wright, I had already served in the Marine Corps. I had already worked overseas as a contractor. I'd already been on the State Department scene and kind of saw Iraq I had seen it from the military perspective and I'd seen it from a diplomatic perspective. So I thought, I was pretty comfortable with understanding policy and national government. But one of the first things I learned in that class was that I didn't pay any attention to local government. These are the things that affect us. All right, what your county government is doing, your quorum court, or if you're in Louisiana, what is it, the police jury? I think your county or your city council, your mayor, yes, your governor. What they are doing is what's affecting us. All right, going back to the Greenville situation, it wasn't the military, the Marine Corps or the Army that came in and told this pastor that he couldn't have church on that Sunday before Easter. It was members of his local government. It was the police officers working for a mayor whose policy was to target churches specifically because he felt like that they were doing the wrong thing. And I said this on a post. If I was an elected official, I would be really, really careful about telling people what liberties are suspended or even especially telling people what they can or cannot do when it comes to religion, when it comes to... I would just be really careful about that right now because I don't use the term you're going to be on the wrong side of history, but that's a situation where they're going to find out they're on the wrong side of history, and some of them are going to find out they're on the wrong side of federal court. They're going to find out they're on the wrong side of the Supreme Court. They're going to find out, and hopefully they're not going to find out they're on the wrong side of violence. But that's how dangerous that can become when you start telling people that their rights have been suspended. That was done by local government. In fact, it wasn't brought to the attention of the federal government, and they were like, no, that's not right. You can't do that. So, you know, this is something that we need to be paying attention to, and that is our local leaders. Don't think for 1 second that just because somebody has been elected or appointed or hired or is in a position of authority, don't think that that means that they know the law or that they know the Constitution or that they know anything. It just means that they were the most popular person the day on election. Hopefully they are somebody that does know these things, that does care about the law, that does care about the Constitution of the United States, that does care about their local community. Hopefully that's who they are. But an election or being hired is not synonymous with being a statesman. All right? Does everyone understand what I'm saying? It is your job. It is your responsibility. This used to be something that was normal. Now it's just rogue as fuck. It's like it's absolutely it's become the most fringe thing to support the Constitution. It's become the most fringe, extremist thing to stand up to someone who is in alleged authority and say, no, that is wrong. That is wrong. And I know I keep going back to this pastor in Greenville, Mississippi, but man, did he impress me. And I saw something, and I paid, and I'm Catholic, and I'm not a huge, I guess you could say, Bible thumper. Not that Catholics aren't Bible thumpers. I'm not trying to. I don't speak for the Catholics. I don't speak for a billion Catholics on the planet. I'm just speaking for myself. But I heard him say something that most people probably just took as religious, talk. But I heard something very constitutional in what he said. And I'll give you, and what he said was, when this officer had the audacity to tell him, no, sir, you're religious, your rights have been suspended. The governor suspended your rights. When he said that, this pastor had already said, I respect authority. But then he said, no, my rights were not given to me by your authority. My rights are given to me by God. Now, you can be an atheist and understand what he's saying, because this is constitutional. I don't care if you're an atheist. It's still a constitutional. Because whether or not you believe in God or not, the founding fathers used this language, and they set something. They set I guess you could say, a foundation that the rights of the people are not given by the government. The government is given the right to govern by the people. All right, I'm going to try to say that again without messing it up. But the rights of people are not given to them by government. The government is given the right to govern, or the privilege of governing, by the people. The rights are something that is inherently ours. Okay, freedom of speech, freedom to defend yourself, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, religious liberties. These are things, equality, okay? All men are created equal. These are things that were set up in our founding papers, Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, part of the Constitution. These things were set in there with the underlying idea that these things, that these are ours. They belong to us. They weren't given by government. The government doesn't have the right to give them and take them away. We have the right to give government the right to govern and to take that away. We do that with elections. All right? We elect people. We give them the privilege of governing us. If we don't like the way they perform, then we have the right to go to the polls and take away their privilege, take away their ability to govern. That is the way government in the United States of America works. That is the way liberty, that is what makes us different as a nation than everyone else. And though we say things like a lot of other countries are free, not really. A lot of other countries are given freedoms by government. We give government the privilege to govern us. So in a lot of other nations, The difference is they recognize the government, the monarch, the parliament, as giving them the privilege of having certain freedoms. But that's not what America is. And there's not a whole lot of people out there, I think, in the younger generations that are understanding that. And they're falling into this idea that government is a monarch, that the president is a king. The president is not a king. Okay? And we give him this authority when we give so much attention to the office, whether it's hate or love. Trump doing this, Trump doing that. When we're not talking about our local governments, we're not talking about our representatives, both state and on the national side, or senators, both state and national senators. We are not talking about those, but that's who we need to be focused on. You don't want the president to act like a king. Let's stop treating the president like a king. I'm not talking about popularity, whether you love him or hate him. All right? You can hate a king or you can love a king. But the king does not have the ultimate authority. No more than these people who are walking around with a badge on trying to tell someone that their rights are suspended. It is up to us to stand up and say, no, our rights have not been suspended. Who do you work for? Did you not take an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States? Did you not take an oath to defend it and uphold it as a police officer? Because I know when I was a police officer, I did. I took an oath. All right? I took an oath, and I said I would support and defend the same oath that I took as a soldier and as a Marine. I took the same oath. So no, the mayor doesn't have the authority to tell me to go shut down a church. It may cost me my job, but I'll get my job back. Okay? Because the courts will rule on my side because the Constitution is very clear. The Constitution is very clear on this. All right, so getting some comments. Ed says, other than watching one day a week and getting tons of stuff done at home and my gym closing, life is normal. All right, so going back to talking about his life's normal. All right, you know, I mean, it hasn't, you know, I want to get to the gym, but I'll be honest with you guys. I wasn't going to the gym before the COVID, so I can't blame COVID on me not going to the gym. But it did not having the option to go to the gym has kind of bit me, has hit home. So yeah, I do feel it. Definitely do feel it. But that's the issue with you know, with the whole religious liberties thing. And I'm sorry, like I said, I don't I'm not so much a political show. I'm not a politician or a political commentator. But that's you know, that's just something that I wanted to you know, to give my opinion on and to talk about. So as far as the status, if you don't keep up with it and you're wondering, well, what happened with the church? Well, what happened was the church was having church services, drive-in church services. I believe it was the Sunday before Easter. And before the church service started, you can go to YouTube and watch the video, Greenville Pastor. You know, you can go watch that. You can see what the situation was. It's pretty sad, man. It really is. That this was happening. I couldn't believe this was happening in America. Kind of reading some comments as I'm talking. I'm going to go through some of these comments in a minute. But in this situation, the police, several police cars. I mean, it was more than 5 or 6. I mean, they were just kind of pulled up. It was a lot. And they had been given direction by the mayor to issue $500 fines for people going to a drive-in church service at the Temple Baptist Church in Greenville, Mississippi. All right, let me say that one more time. The mayor had directed them to issue out $500 citations for going to a drive-in church service. Meanwhile, liquor stores had drive-through. I don't know if they had drive-through in Mississippi. I know they do in Louisiana. But liquor stores were essential. Obviously, I went off about Walmart. You know my feelings about that. You know, they're not even following. The only rules they're following is that stupid rule outside about which door you can walk in. Other than that, it's free. It's on. You know, get in the checkout line with 100 people and just spread it all. You know, everyone's touching. It's just Walmart's a joke. I don't know what they're trying to prove, but it's a load of shit, is what it is. But anyway, the mayor had directed the police department to issue $500 citations to people trying to go to church. And the pastor confronted them. He went out in the parking lot and, kind of went on a rant there. And he had what appeared to be maybe an investigator, kind of a plainclothes guy, come up to him and basically told him, hey, listen, just to let you know ahead of time, we're going to be issuing citations. I was astonished. Being a former law enforcement officer myself, I was astonished watching this. It was ridiculous. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was when the other officer told him, no, sir, the governor suspended your rights. Your rights are suspended. That is when I honestly lost my fucking mind watching it. And I'm sorry, but if you're watching The Rogue Way, you're obviously not watching it for clean language. But when that happened, I lost my damn mind. Since then, there have been legal firms that have picked the case up. They're suing the city, and they're going to win. They're going to win big. Of course, the mayor has tried to defend his position. I don't know how you do that, but I'm sure his lawyer, I don't know where the city attorney was on that day, but he definitely was not advising the mayor of the citizens of this country's constitutional rights to religious liberties. And they weren't going and having like a tent revival. Okay, it wasn't like they were packing a church with a bunch of people and doing, it wasn't that, okay? I mean, that wasn't what was going on. They were doing a drive-through service. So, it's being handled. The Attorney General stepped in, said his piece. It was covered on national news by Fox. I think Tucker Carlson did a segment on it. You can catch that on YouTube. It is worth watching. It is worth saving and having this and really thinking about what you're watching here, because that is a very, very dangerous issues. Joe Hawkins says, hey man, I'm having some technical difficulties. I'll catch you next time. Good to see your show. Thanks, Joe. I miss you, man. Semper Fi. Joe Hockett, me and him served together in the Marine Corps. He is an explosive ordnance disposal. He's a bomb guy. He's like the Hurt Locker in real life. He probably hates that movie. But that's kind of like the Top Gun, I guess, for EOD guys. Or if you're a Green Beret, maybe you're Rambo or something. I don't know. But Joe, awesome, man. I hadn't seen a dude in a long time. One day I'm going to get up your way to D.C. and we can hang out. Thanks for stopping by. All right, take care. Be safe. And God bless you. So, now, let's get on something lighter. The Tiger King. Okay, you're watching it, all right? Like it. I want to hear your comments. Thumbs up. You've seen the Tiger King. All right? How crazy is this shit? Give me a thumbs up. I want to talk about the Tiger King. We watched. Have you seen? Our power came back on last night. We immediately went to Netflix. And we put the new episode, which was pretty disappointing because it's not really a new episode. Not really a new episode. It was like it was like somebody, the guy was doing follow-up interviews with the main characters. And I don't remember the character's name other than Joe Exotic, but it was interesting to watch it. And spoiler alert, I'm going to talk about that new episode of Tiger King. So if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, you want to check out, bye. But if you want to hear me rant about it, my opinion on the Tiger King, then here we are. Okay, I got some thumbs up. So the first person that he talked to was the Jeff guy. You guys remember the Jeff dude? If you watch the Tiger King, the Jeff dude was like, freaking 2007 Affliction guy. I mean, that dude had he's like somewhere between Axl Rose and like, I don't know, Randy Couture back in '05 or something. I mean, this dude had Affliction shirt on, but he had Axl Rose like headband. You know, he wasn't wearing his bandana where he should have been wearing it for COVID. He was wearing it up here under his hat. All right, so he was a guy that has an open marriage and was supposed to be a billionaire or some shit. He has a plane, allegedly. He drove around a Ferrari, and he came in and he took over the zoo. All right, so they interviewed him, and he was asked a couple interesting things. Number one, how he felt about, did he think that Joe, deserved prison? And he said, yeah, he does. He's fucking crazy. He did all this shit, you know. But the interesting thing that, and everybody, if you watched it, the interesting question was, do you think that Carol Baskins killed her husband? And his answer from him and his wife, I guess is his wife, yeah, was hell yeah, yeah. So they think that Carol Baskins murdered her first husband. Which I guess the idea is that she murdered the dude and put his body through a meat grinder and then fed it to the tigers. I guess that's the idea. So they interviewed them, and then they went straight to the God, I hate calling these dudes his husband. One of Joe's husbands. He was the guy that had all the tattoos, that never wore a shirt, and he had like the spaced out teeth, like one over here, one over here. Felt sorry for that dude. He really seemed like he was just a nice guy, but just really screwed up in the head. Of course, all of them did. But he got his teeth. You guys see that? He had like this brand new set of white veneers or something. Like, he got that shit fixed. So they paid him for the Netflix deal, and he spent it. I don't know if it was a stimulus check or if it was the Netflix money, but he spent his money in the right place. He got his teeth done. So that was that dude. And then they interviewed the almost said girl. She is a girl, but she identifies as a dude. So okay, whatever. I ain't got a problem with her. I ain't got a problem with him. I'll call him a dude. Whatever. I don't care. Anyway, the one that lost their arm. Spam risk calling me. Talk to him and her, whatever, and I just can't do it. I'm just gonna say she because I can't. I know it's a she. I know it's a she. I just can't do it. I mean, I want to. I'm trying to be nice, but fucking. Talk to her, and she had no grudges against the animals. She actually, I don't know why I'm worried about talking about it. She said she didn't really care what people called her. So she had no problem. She lost her arm and went back to take care of the tigers like within a few days. And they asked her if Joe talked to her about, like, I don't know, financial, like taking care of her. He never mentioned anything. Like, he just she went back to work and they didn't talk about it anymore. They used her incident as a safety video or some shit. Did you imagine that? You go to work, you're going to work on the Tiger King, like the freaking zoo, and I don't know how you, like, I don't know if that was Indeed or if it was Craigslist or what, but you see this job in Oklahoma that says you're going to be around, these giant, these cats and these lions and whatever, and you show up there and you're doing your orientation. And the safety guy comes in and says, "Okay, I want to watch. Everybody needs to watch this video." And it's about some girl getting her arm ripped off by a tiger. She said it took 15 seconds and her arm was gone. 15 seconds. And it says, "I haven't watched it yet, but the memes are fire." Yeah, if you haven't watched it yet, and you like the memes, you've got to check it out. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. It's the most ridiculous thing ever. The guy is batshit crazy. And anyway, so this girl, she she didn't sue. Nothing, man. She was just like, went back to work, and just, what I would say, marined the F on, man. She just marined on, just did her job and just kept on. So the show was basically, and then they talked to the producer, the Crocodile Dundee dude, chain smoked, and that dude's living in Norway now. I don't know what the hell that's about, but he's like in Norway, and he's like a big celebrity there. Apparently, the Norwegians love Tiger King. It's like a worldwide phenomenon. So, he's living a good life there. He's got like a Norwegian wife. Probably, I can only imagine what she looks like. But it just interviewed that dude, and that was pretty much it. But if you haven't seen it, if you haven't watched the Tiger King, you're like one of the few people in America that has not seen it. It's ridiculous, and I think that's why everyone just loves it. Not because it's good TV, but because it's so out there. It's so ridiculous. But I could not help watching the show. I did see how the fascination and maybe even addiction to these cats could get you. I've always had a fascination with lions. I've never touched one. I have a tattoo of a lion. I love lion memes. Thunder. If we lose power again tonight, oh my God! Please don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. But I can see the fascination with these animals because, for the most part, they act like big pets. They seem very loyal and affectionate. But when they decide that you're their toy, you're their toy. If they decide that you're their food, I guess you're their food. So, but I could see, I get it. When I started watching it, I don't understand the culture and the animals. I don't understand that connection. I don't, because it seemed like everyone that was involved in this were kind of dirtbags. Okay? And not necessarily the workers, but the people who buy them. And my question is that the norm? Or is that just what the show was picked up on? When I was in high school, there was a rumor that there was a mix between a tiger and a lion here in Green Hill. Anybody my age remember that? Know anything about that? Don't know if that was urban legend. Don't know if that was just a rumor or what. But there was a story that that there was supposed to be a tiger or a lion tiger mix that was in the county somewhere. I believe it was Green Hill. If anybody knows anything about that, hit the like button. Give me a thumbs up. Leave a comment. I want to know. I want to know if anybody remembers that, because I do, and I don't know if it was true, but I do remember that. I think it was around the time I was probably about 17. So we're talking 90s, early 90s, 94, that type of stuff. Big cats, no matter, Pete Hawking says, big cats, no matter how well trained, the primal instinct is always there, never leaves them. Now, I'm glad Pete said that, because that brings up another question. It's there, obviously it's there, but they kept saying that once these animals, because they were brought up in captivity, born in captivity, I don't know how far back any of these, if ever, any of these people owned one that was actually taken from the wild. But for the most part, I think I'm pretty correct in saying they were all born and raised in captivity. And they kept saying that you can't turn them back loose. You can't free them because they'll never be okay in the wild. And my question is, do we know that? Is that like, have they done this a lot? And the cats just, do they not adapt when they go back to the wild? Does it? I understand that they may not have a significant advantage and they may be susceptible to being poached, and their comfort level around people may be too high. But as far as hunting skills, I mean, we're talking about tigers mostly, and I know that lions they work in prides, but tigers and panthers and things like that, they are essentially solitude. I mean, solitude. They're loners. So, what is it about? Will they not adapt, or what's the deal? I'm curious if anybody knows anything about that. Like, what is the deal? Can they just not can they not adapt back to the wild or to the wild initially? What will happen? Will they just lay there and die? They just won't be competitive. They just killed by poachers. Like, what's the worst thing? Because this dude was shooting them when they got old, or just when he didn't like them anymore. He just started shooting them in the head. And his reason was, are the people that the girl that had her arm taken off. She said, I didn't like it, but I knew there was nothing I can do about it. You can't turn them back. You can't put them in the wild. And I guess my mindset was, well, if you're going to shoot them in the head, why not? Why not turn them? Why not put them in the wild? And then she said, there's nowhere to put them anymore. So I'm confused about that too. Did Africa or did the jungles have they disappeared? Because I don't think so. I mean, I think there's plenty of places to put them. My question is there something about them being in captivity that like what is it that disqualifies them or that makes them not eligible to go back and adapt? Because I find it hard to believe that they won't readapt to the wild. And like you said, their primal fears are there. Or their primal instincts are there. So, but I'm not a cat expert. So anyone out there who is a cat expert, I'd love to have you on the podcast. That'd be awesome. If you know a lot about cats, if you're an animal person, wild animals, know a lot about that, come on, and I'd love to hear, enlighten me on that situation. But essentially, they buy them. I mean, they just raise them and they sell them. But I guess it's illegal now, or it's really being cracked down on. So I guess it was costing too much to keep them. I don't know what the deal was. Not really sure. The show is a killer success. So it's weird how just something takes off like that, a documentary or a podcast or whatever. You just don't know. It can seem like just the dullest thing and just everyone just relates to it and it takes off, or it can be just the absolute craziest shit you've ever seen way out in left field and you're like, no one is going to like this shit, and then it just takes off and it's a global phenomenon. And that is, I guess, what the Tiger King has been. So anyway, what's up, Lee Pincus? How you doing, brother? All right, I'm gonna start going through some of these comments and see. I don't want to get off here before I talk to some people. I'm gonna start on the roadway. Like I said, if you joined in, man, to hear me just rambling on a Friday night, I've got 2 pages. I'm going on. If you're looking at me right now, if I'm pointing at you, then you're watching me on my personal page, and I appreciate that. Feel free, if you're watching it public, to friend request me or follow or whatever. But also, more importantly, if you're watching me on this camera, this is from the Roadway page. That's kind of where I want to move everything over. So if you're here, please go over to the Roadway Facebook page, hit like, hit follow, and catch me there. I'm going to go into the Roadway page, and I'm going to look at some of the comments. I think I saw a few. I don't know if I read all of them from a distance, but I'm pretty stoked, man. I got a brand new phone. I got the Galaxy Note 10, and I think I had the 8 before, and I smashed it in the my Mountaineer, the back door, the hatch. I had it laying on the bumper or right there in the thing, and I shut it and I smashed my 8, and then I ended up just kind of using my wife's old phone until I paid that one off. And I finally paid it off, so I ended up getting me a new phone. And mainly, I just wanted a phone that was another phone for another camera for the podcast stuff. So if you're watching this camera, you're looking at me on my new Galaxy Note 10. So let me know how the picture is, especially compared to the other one, if you see a significant difference. So I'm pretty stoked about this because, I plan on doing some, trying to get into some, small filmmaking stuff and get into videos and get the software and start editing and, just kind of having a more professional look. So, this is going to be a camera I'm going to be a lot of work, be doing a lot of the work with. So, pretty excited about it. It's got a pro camera, and I'm really, really freaking happy about it. But I've got to get some editing software. So any guys out there who know anything about movie editing software, what I looked at some yesterday. I guess it's anywhere from several $100s to $50. If anyone out there is really handy with that stuff, kind of knows a lot about it, hit me up, leave a comment. I'd like to know, give me some suggestions on some type of video software, editing software, producer type of stuff, so I can kind of make my recorded versions better. Okay, so Pete is replying, and it's not working on my laptop, but I'm going to the phone. It says they are geared to hunt. It won't take long, and they will do just fine. That also depends on where they're released. I'm definitely not an expert. So, I think you said some more, but that's kind of all I got. I have to read the rest of the comment on this once this comes up. But that's kind of what I was thinking, man. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I kind of go back to the Jurassic Park mentality. I know Jurassic Park's just a movie, but nature finds a way, and I think it's pretty arrogant as humans to say we're going to keep these animals in captivity because we know better than they know. We can't, we know that they won't make it. Well, if we do, we do. But do we? Do we really know that? I'd be really interested in hearing some solid information on that. So, if you're someone that knows a lot about big cats, if you know a lot about wild animals, maybe someone in game and fish, or maybe somebody who just that's their passion, and you can enlighten me on that, I would love to have you on and talk about it and let you explain it, because I know it's something of interest to everybody. So, anyway, but yeah, going back to the video. Excuse me, making I think the proper 12 is starting to kick in a little bit, guys. Hmm. Smooth on ice. Hopefully that thunderstorm is not bringing more electricity out our way. Tell you what, man, I was really, really stoked to see those electric guys, the energy dudes, rolling deep in the Western Pines yesterday. So that was a very good sight for me. Every once in a while, I have to restart this because it keeps trying to do some updates on this new phone. So I have to do that and reposition it. So what else is going on? I still got a couple people checking in. I know it's Friday night, man. It's 9:30. Y'all got shit to do. A lot of y'all probably went to watch Tiger King. We're also looking for some guests, man. I'm gonna, like I said, doing some things coming up. We're gonna get the podcast more formalized. Gonna start getting a regular schedule, doing a weekly thing. I'm looking at a weekly. I'd like to do, and that was always the intent, was to have guests on, especially local dudes. You don't have to be anything, like just someone who wants to talk, man. Just hang out with me, drink some whiskey, have some beer. If you want to come out, be on the show. I want to do a guest show every once a week, and then I'll probably do some different videos, maybe some live segments during the week. But I'm gonna be looking for guests to kind of line up. So people I'd like to have back on the show that we had a year or 2 years ago. I'd love to get Greg. Greg Bortz is a regular. It's just a matter of us getting this thing done and get people back on here. Greg Fallon, I'm gonna catch back up with him, find out what's been going on in his life. He is our attorney slash actor friend. He's been involved in some cool stuff. He's done some small parts in movies, movies that you've probably seen. He's done a lot of stage acting, and he's just kind of a cool dude to talk to. Especially, he's got a lot of insights on Hollywood and like actors and that whole culture. So if that's something that you're interested in, we have local people that do cool stuff. Also, I want to get a fitness segment in, so I'm looking at bringing some of the guys from All Time Fitness on the show and start talking about some, having a fitness segment. Love to get dudes like that on here. Fonz, like to get Mike on here, Matt back on, just kind of do some things to where kind of talk about some fitness stuff that that's something I want to get going. And government, local government, appointees, just people just really like to have some different types of guests on here. Just talk about whatever. So if but it doesn't have to be that, man. If you're just someone that just wants to come on the roadway and rant and give your opinion and drink some Irish whiskey or a couple beers with me, we're gonna have that spot open. So I hope to see you. And Derek Lefwich is going to be coming back on as soon as I can get back up with him. He's kind of a, freaking, those military guys are. Just never know what the fuck they're doing. But Greg will be around. I mean, Derek will be around. Greg will too. So we're going to get all those guys back on the show soon. And get everything going, man. I appreciate you guys checking it out. You watch live on this. Everything's going to be, you can catch everything and recapping it on the Roadway podcast. Won't be keeping it up on my personal page because I'm trying to get everybody to start watching it on the Roadway page. But if you want to catch this episode or any episode, any of the shorties or whatever we do, just click on there and make sure you follow us, and we'll be talking to you again soon. So next episode, I'm going to try to get Boris back on here, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we talked about today, but we're going to get his perspective on it, and just kind of catch back up. So hope you guys have a great weekend, and have a safe weekend, social fucking distancing or whatever. Stay rogue, and we'll see you guys next time.